Greetings everybody, and welcome to my 7 Days to Die modding tutorial for Alpha 18. We're now on episode 14. In the last episode, guys, we looked at how to set up a new trader group and how to put some of our own items and some of the vanilla items into a new group and make those available at the traders. We covered a little bit of how the probabilities were calculated, and we left on the end of the last episode with a note of how this can actually go horribly wrong. In this episode, we're going to go and introduce two new XPath functions that we need to use in order to add something to a node in a specific place. Now, let me go ahead and show you what I mean. Okay, we covered this towards the end of the last episode. Let me go ahead and show you here. So I've gone ahead and set up a very small XML example right here. So let's say, for example, we wanted to append a new item right here. Okay, so we wanted to add a new item right here. Well, that's got us covered, right? So what we could do is we could go append, and then we could go XPath equals, and then we can just go trader item groups. And then in here, we could put our new thing. So we could say item name equals, I don't know, let's just call this Rivistyx. Item name equals Rivistyx right here. And what we could do is what this XPath will do. So this is going to be example 1. So I'm just going to call this E1. Okay. So what E1 is going to do is it's going to go ahead and grab this guy. And then E1 is going to place this right here. So E1 will do this. However, what if we wanted to do something like this? What if we wanted to, for example, add something before the MaxFox gaming group? So let's, for example, say if I wanted to add an item name of, I don't know, let's see, who could have had an item name of, say, Dana right here before MaxFox gaming. So how will we do this? Well, there is another XPath function that we can use. There are actually 2 of them. I'm going to show you both of these right now, and we're going to go ahead and do this. So the first XPath function is called insertBefore. Now, the insertBefore looks very similar to the append XPath. What it does is it picks a node, so you give it the node that you want with an XPath, and then it goes immediately before this node, and it will insert it like right here before it. Now, let me go ahead and show you an example of how this would work. So let me go and show you what you would not do. So the difference between insertBefore and append is append goes inside the group and then adds it to the end. insertBefore does not do that. And the same with the next one, which is insertAfter, but I'll show you that in a second. So what you would do is, or what you wouldn't do to make this work. So let's go ahead and say this is E2. And this is what you don't do. Okay, because this is very easy to get confused. Now with this one, we're going to go insertBefore. Now, insertBefore is just like append. You have an XPath, and then you close it like an append, and then you stick whatever you want in there. So what you would want to do is to grab this guy. So let's say if we wanted to stick Dana here, right? So this is what we want to stick in. And then, so what would you do? Will we just go ahead and do the same as append, trader item groups? Is this what we do? Well, let's have a look and see what this would do. When you have insertBefore trader item groups, what it's going to do is it's going to say, okay, I now have the trader item groups selected. Okay, but then what it's going to do is it's going to go ahead and get this Dana item right here, and it's going to go, okay, I got this group, insert immediately before this group. Where is immediately before this group? Right there. Immediately before this group. See, I did it. E2. How did I do that? And then it's going to be like, wait a minute, but I wanted it to be inside this group before MaxFox Gaming, right? So E2, this example right here, is going to go ahead and put the Dana node right here, which is not good. So, I don't know, let's say I wanted instead to, instead of the Dana node, let's go and say, I know, coming on names on the fly right here. Let's say we have a Ricky Adams node. So how are we going to get the Ricky Adams node to go before the MaxFox gaming node? Well, it's not that hard. Once you can understand what the insert before is doing, when you specify the node here, or the element that you want it to insert before, it's going to go ahead. Actually, this should be the singular, by the way, not trader item group, should be trader item group. So let me just correct that. What this should do is, instead of going ahead and doing it from trader item group, we want to go one level deeper. So as you can see, if you're on the same level here, it will insert this before on the same level. It doesn't go like in and then insert it like out the top. What we want to do instead is we want to go one level deeper and then select the node that we wanted to insert it before within the target area. Okay, so let's see. This is going to be the correct way. So E3, the correct way. Okay, so the correct way to do this is going to be very similar. So let's go ahead and copy this guy here. And we're going to adjust the XPath to make this work. So the group we want is actually called Ricky Adams. Let's go and copy this guy. And we're going to go ahead and put it here, right? So what this is currently going to do is this is going to do the same as E2. Currently, it's going to put the Ricky Adams group right before here. So it's going to do this right now. We want to adjust this. So how do we make it do it inside here? Well, what we do instead is we're going to go ahead and specify the item that we want to put Ricky Adams before. In this case, the item that Ricky Adams comes before is MaxFox Gaming. So all we need to do is in our XPath is we're going to go one level down into the node this time. And we're going to say item name equals MaxFox Gaming. And now what it's going to do, I'll show you exactly how this works. We are going to, let's just remove this for now. So say if this is what we have, it's going to go, okay, find the trader item groups right here. And then it's going to go, okay, and it's going to say, now find MaxFox Gaming. It's going to go and find this item that has MaxFox Gaming. And it's going to go, okay, you want me to insert directly before that. Done. And there you go. That is how E3 is going to work. So this allows you to insert stuff in specific points in the XML. So the difference between append is append will only allow you to tack it onto the end of a group or something like that, whereas insert before will allow you to insert it before a certain thing. But for example, let's say I wanted something, let's say I wanted to put the Rivistyx one on the end, but using the other function, which is insertAfter. How would I do the insertAfter with the Rivistyx one? So we'll say E1 will do this, but how to do it with insertAfter. Okay, so with insertAfter, it's exactly the same as insertBefore. So for example 4, we're going to have a look at insertAfter. So with insertAfter, we're going to go insertAfter. So with a capital A for after, and then XPath. And this time, so if we were to do trader item groups, or trader item group like this, so if essentially we were to take everything we had with the append node and do it like this, so say if we just did this, what it's going to do is insertAfter is going to come down and it's going to say, okay, I found the trader item group right here. Okay, you have a Rivistyx node, you want me to insert it after that. Done. That's not what we want. How the hell are we going to do this then? So if that's not what we want, how do we get the Rivistyx to show up here instead? Well, what we can do instead is, remember, we can then say, okay, so what comes directly before? So say if the Rivistyx wasn't here, right? So say if this wasn't here, what will come before it? Well, hooded toe is the one that comes before. So what we should be able to do is we should then be able to go into the items within here, and then we should say, look for the item whose name is hooded toe, and then insert the Rivistyx after hooded toe. So what it will do is it will go, okay, find the trader item groups. There we go. And then it's going to say, okay, find hooded toe. There it is. Now you want me to go ahead and insert directly after that. Bam. So both E1 and E4. So both the first and the fourth example will do this. Okay. Now, why is this important? Why am I showing you this? And why do we even need these things anyway? Where does order actually matter? Well, this is where order is going to matter. Let's come down to this example right here. Now, this is where things are going to get slightly tricky. When you set up trader item groups, for example, I've set up three very simple groups. I set up a trader item group called group 1 that has item 1 and item 2 as the items. I've set up another group called group 2, which has item 3 and item 4. And then I set up a group called group 3, which then defines group 1 and group 2. So essentially, these two groups then are pretty much making up members of this one big group. Now, this XML for the traders is absolutely fine. If you were to have something like this, and as long as all the item names are valid and set up, this would be just fine. However, if you were to do something like this, so if I was to go ahead and do something like this, and go ahead and define my group 3 up here, and define and then say that it has to have group 1 and group 2, this will give you red text. Now, why is that? The reason this is going to give you red text is because it's going to be fine up to this point. It's going to go, okay, we're going to call the new group group 3. That's fine. And it's going to go, okay, so you want an item group. And it's going to go, okay, the item group you want is group 1. So then what it's going to do is when you do that, it's going to go, okay, so say if we like set it up like right here, it's going to go up into the XML and go, okay, where's group 1? Is group 1 up here? Is it up here? It's going to scroll upwards and look for group 1. And it's not going to find it. It's going to go all the way to the top. And it's going to go, I'm not finding it, not finding it, not finding it, not finding it, still not finding it, still not finding it, and I haven't found it. Okay, we have a null ref, and then it's going to give you some red text. So what it does is essentially from where you define the group, it then looks up to see where the group is defined. So if you specify it down here as we did before, it's going to go, okay, you want group 1. Is group 1 here? Nope, it's not there. Is group 1 here? Yes, group 1's there, so this is fine. Now you want group 2. Okay, well, it's group 2 here. Yes, group 2 is there, so it's fine. But if you define it over here, before you actually define the inner groups, it will throw you an error. So the takeaway from this is you always must make sure the item groups that are within other item groups are specified first. So in this case, you must always make sure that if you have a group that references other groups, that the other groups have been defined above the group that references them. Otherwise, it will throw you some red text. Now, where is this important? Well, let's go ahead and have a look in the actual Traders XML, and we're going to go ahead and see. So I'm going to go ahead and delete these XML examples, and we're actually going to get to some real code using this and the insert before and insert after stuff that we just talked about. So let's go ahead and go into Traders right here. Let's say I wanted to, let's go down here, and let's say I had my steel pipe, right? So you want to make a new group for the steel pipe. Okay, well, that's great. We've already gone ahead and set one up for that, right? So we have the thing called my new group, and that's for the steel pipes. But for example, say then we also wanted this group containing the steel pipes to appear under, I don't know, maybe there's a working stiffs one here somewhere. Actually, let's say under construction supplies. Let's just say we wanted this to happen. Item group equals my new group. And then count equals, I don't know, 3 to 5 or 3 to 6. Let's say this is what we wanted to do. We wanted to go ahead and add, or we wanted to append my group to construction supplies. Okay, so let's go ahead and actually write the XPath for that first, and then I'll show you what's going to go and happen. So, for example, I can do it right here. So we're going to go append XPath, and then we want trader item group name equals construction supplies. Okay, and let's say we wanted it to appear under that group. So we're going to say, okay, my new group is going to appear here, and then it's going to go between 2 and 6, like we had up there. Okay, now what this is going to do, if we do this, right, it's going to go ahead from the construction supplies group. It's going to say, okay, that was between 2 and 6 as well. So it's going to have this inserted here. Now, when it goes and validates it, it's going to come down here and it's going to go, okay, resource cement exists as an item. This is fine. This is fine. Then it goes, okay, the landmines group. It's going to go up and then look for the landmines group, which is right here. And it says, okay, I got it. But remember, when we appended our item group, we actually added the item group down here. So my new group is actually right down here because we appended it. So what's going to happen now is in the construction supplies, it's going to go, okay, where is my new group? Okay, is it up here? Nope, nope, nope. Not here, not here, not here, not here, not here, not here. And then it's going to keep going up, and then it's going to finally reach the top and go, I didn't find my new group. Where is it? And that is going to therefore go ahead and throw us an exception. So what we need to do is we need to insert myNewGroup before the construction supplies group that uses it. Because we've currently defined it afterwards, this is going to cause issues. So what we need to do is we need to go ahead and change our append XPath to an insertBefore, and then insert it before the construction supplies group. Because currently this is defined after the construction supplies group, it's going to throw us red text. Okay, so I'll actually go ahead and load the game and show you that, because I want you guys to see that, you know, I'm not talking out my butthole. This is going to cause us issues, and that's because they did some kind of fixes from before. But let's go ahead and undo all the Traitor stuff. Reset that back to vanilla, and then let me go ahead and show you what is going to happen right here. So let's go and launch the game. This should, as long as they've not updated it to actually be, as long as they've not updated it to like define things afterwards, which they kind of should do, because then you can specify it in any order, which is, you know, better coding. But still, let's go ahead and just show you. Because as far as I'm aware, you have to go ahead and insert it in a very specific order, otherwise it will fail. So let's go into here. Let's go continue game in tutorial world. Tutorial world. So let's go ahead and see what happens now. So it's going to load this up, and then we should see. There we go. There's the red text. It says XML loader. Loading and passing the traders.xml failed, and it says myNewGroup does not exist or has not been defined before using it. Okay, and then of course it throws up other red text as well, which is bad. But it says before reference by the trader item is construction supplies. So because we haven't defined this group before we referenced it from another group, it's gone ahead and thrown us some red text. And you can see there's loads of horrible things coming up on there. So what we need to do then is we need to change our append XPath to an insertBefore XPath so that we can insert it before this guy. So how will we do that? Well, if I just went ahead and changed append to insertBefore, so we may have to copy this guy and copy this guy. If I just did this, what it's not going to do is just miraculously work. It's not going to go ahead and find the construction supplies. Let me just find it here. What it's not going to do is this. It's not just going to do that and magically work. Okay, so don't think just by changing append to insertBefore it's going to work. What it's going to do instead is, right now, the node we have told it to insertBefore is actually the trader item group's node as a whole. Okay, we've told it to insertBefore the entire thing. So right now, it's going to go ahead and insertBefore this guy. So it's actually going to smack it right there. And that's not what we want, because then that's outside the trader item groups, and therefore it's not going to work. So what we need to do instead is we want to insert it before the trader item group called construction supplies, right? So this is what we want to do. We need to find the trader item group who's called construction supplies and then insert it before that. And doing this will make it correct. So here we're going to go and then we're going to say trader item group. And then we want the name equals construction supplies, right? And now this XPath, what it's going to do, and actually we can shorten this because now we don't need the trader item groups here. So we're going to remove this, and as long as there's a double slash, it will go ahead and jump straight to the construction supplies trader item group, which is what we want. So then it's going to go ahead and it's going to find the trader item group called construction supplies, which is this one, and it's going to go, okay, I found this guy. What do you want me to do? InsertBefore? All right, I'll insertBefore. And it's going to go ahead and smack it right there, and it'll end up looking something like this. And this is what we want, because then you can see that myNewGroup is defined before it's referenced in this group, because this group, remember, also had the item group of myNewGroup count equals 2 to 6. I'll just say, for now, I'll just do count equals 2. There we go, count equals 2, 6. So this is what's going to happen. It's going to insert this before, it's then going to append this one afterwards, and then because this has been defined after it's been defined up here, because it's being referenced, I mean, right here, we're referencing this group after we defined it now, then it's going to go ahead and not give us red text anymore. So that's what's going to happen now. So let's go ahead and take this out. And I will now show you that this works. So yeah, if you're getting errors and saying, things are not defined when you're just like, I didn't append and it's all working and it's, it should be there. This now will go ahead with this insertBefore and it will also go ahead and it will go ahead and just work now. Okay, so let's go ahead and see in the game that by doing it this way, it will actually work. So let's go ahead and make our way into game. And let's go ahead and go to continue game. And let's go to our tutorial world. And now we should see that we don't get any red text anymore. So we should have resolved this issue once and for all by doing it this way. As long as I didn't make any mistakes with my XML, which I shouldn't have done, we should be fine. There we go. So as you can see, this has now gone ahead and loaded up. No red text, no yellow XPath errors either, which is very good. And the world has loaded fine with no issues. So now the construction supplies group now has my steel pipes in it. So what this means is if I get some construction site boxes, if I get a few of these, construction shipping crate, random helper. If I get a few of these, let's get the hammer, and I want the dev hammer because the dev hammer is awesome because it allows me to just insta break blocks. We should find that the stuff is actually in here. So if I go ahead and add a few of these real quick. Okay, you didn't need to flick. That's fine. Yeah, if I had a few of these, and let's open this, we might find that the steel pipes actually shows up in this. Oh wait, no, this isn't the one. I want the actual box, right? So I want the construction supplies box. I think it might be this one. Construction random helper. Construction side box. This is the one I want. So I want this guy. But unfortunately, you can't loot it. Yeah, when you place them down like that, you can't loot it unless you somehow reset the loot. But unfortunately, that is not currently possible. Yeah, what it should mean though is now that I've actually added to construction supplies, it should appear in construction site boxes as well as at the traders. Well, actually, no, not in this case because I've been doing it from traders and not loot. But when we get around to loot, we'll actually know how to actually add it to these boxes now. Because believe it or not, when we actually get around to manipulating the loot files, loot and traders XMLs are really, really similar. And that's what we're going to get onto in the next episode. So guys, I think that pretty much covers everything for this episode. We've seen an example now of where you're going to need to use the insert before XPath, or maybe in some cases an insert after XPath, in the place of an append XPath, because in some cases the order that you do stuff really, really does matter. So it's important to have the concept of insert before and insert after under your belt as well. So I'm going to go ahead and end off the episode right here, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and in the next episode, we're going to have a look at the loot XML file, which, believe it or not, is very similar to traders. So there's not too much to explain. We're just going to go through some examples and do some cool things. So thanks, guys, so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. So until then, bye!